What does it mean to be enlightened? To see the world as it truly is, unbridled, chaotic, and unafraid of its own fragmentation. Enlightenment isn't about harmonizing all things into one unified truth. No, it's about recognizing the truths in their separate domains and understanding that they do not, and should not, overlap in some forced unity. We often hear of people trying to merge science, philosophy, and religion as if they belong to one harmonious family, but to see them as such is to carry forward a dangerous misconception, a bias born of centuries of religious influence. Religion, with its dogmas and allegories, perpetually tried to unify all aspects of human experience, tying the natural world to a metaphysical framework that satisfied its moral and mythological needs. Nietzsche warns us about this in Human, All Too Human. He speaks of the sensus allegoricus, the allegorical sense of religion, which claims that behind its myths lies profound, universal wisdom. He challenges this claim, pointing out that religions were born not from truth, but from fear and need, crawling into existence on the errant paths of reason. Science, philosophy, and religion do not live together on the same star, as Nietzsche would say. They live on entirely separate planets, spinning in their own chaotic orbits. Let's be clear, when we try to fold everything into one cohesive whole, we aren't respecting these fields of thought, we are suffocating them. Science becomes endangered when we unconsciously impose religious or mythological baggage onto it. Philosophy becomes compromised when we let ancient dogmas shape its questions and conclusions, and we lose sight of enlightenment itself when we lean on the crutch of consensus, whether it comes from religion, science, or even the so-called wise. Consensus is complacency, and complacency is the enemy of enlightenment. Nietzsche gives us this brilliant metaphor. Philosophers, he says, arrived at doctrines that resembled Jewish, Christian, or Indian religious beliefs, much like children tend to resemble their mothers. But, and here's the key, the fathers, these philosophers, weren't clear about how that maternity came about. They didn't realize the mythological baggage they had inherited. They thought they were arriving at new conclusions, when in reality, they were just repackaging old ones in shiny, intellectual wrappings. This happens even today, when people describe religious texts as deep or profound, claiming they contain universal truths. But are they truly universal? Or are they reflections of their time, steeped in the fears, needs, and biases of their creators? When we romanticize the past, we fail to see it for what it really is. A foundation, yes, but also a shackle. To respect the past does not mean to be enslaved by it. To be enlightened, then, means to free yourself from these inherited biases. It means to think with self-rationality, to examine truths on their own terms, not through the lens of some imposed unity. Religion serves its purpose, cultural, psychological, even poetic. Science serves its purpose, empirical and explanatory. Philosophy serves its purpose, questioning, exploring the meanings and values of existence. But to merge them into one, that is to deny their individuality and to corrupt their essence. The true nature of the universe is not unified or harmonious. It is chaotic, fragmented, and indifferent to our desire for order, and that's okay. In fact, that's beautiful. To embrace enlightenment is to embrace this chaos, to see each domain of thought for what it truly is, and to resist the temptation to lean on consensus or complacency. So, stop looking for a unifying theory of everything, not just in science, but in your worldview. Truth isn't a harmonious symphony. It's a wild cacophony of different instruments, each playing its own tune. Your job as a thinker, as someone striving for enlightenment, is not to silence the chaos, but to understand it. Not to force a unity that doesn't exist, but to find meaning in the fragmentation. To end with Nietzsche, never yet has a religion, either indirectly or directly, either as dogma or as allegory, contained a truth. And that's where our liberation begins. Enlightenment is not about tying everything together. It's about cutting the cords that falsely bind them and letting each thought, each truth, exist in its own independent universe.